Hello, lovely people. I'm Maggie and I'm here to talk to you about the sonnet. What is a sonnet? What's the structure of a sonnet? Where does it come from? What does it talk about? And of course, a little bit about Shakespeare, the Shakespearean sonnets. Now, where to begin? The word sonnet itself derives from the Latin word sonus, which means sound, and also the Italian word sonetto, which means a short, small song. It is believed that the first sonnet ever written was written by a guy called Giacomo de Lentini in Sicily, Italy, during the 13th century. Its popularization became apparent throughout the 14th up to the 16th century, and one of the other Italian poets who's very famous for his sonnets is Francesco Petrarca. He wrote more than 300 sonnets for his love, Laura. Popularization across Europe was imminent, and of course the sonnet reached England as well through the Renaissance poet called Thomas Wyatt. Even though the sonnets were firstly written to express love and courting as well, they quickly became some sort of a challenge for poets to experiment and to write on plenty of other topics. This includes general existential problems, death, life, time, beauty. The English and the Italian sonnets are one of the most famous in the world, and they differ slightly in structure. The Italian sonnet has an octave and a sestet, which means that it has a stanza of 8 lines and a stanza of 6 lines, whereas the English sonnet has 3 quatrains. A quatrain is made of 4 lines and a rhyming couplet at the end. The Italian sonnet follows a particular rhyming pattern, which normally in the octave is A, B, B, A, A, B, B, A, whereas in the second stanza of 6 lines we have C, D, C, D, C, D, or C, D, E, C, D, E. The English sonnet in terms of rhyming is a little bit different, it's more diverse. We have in the first 3 quatrains we have a rhyming of A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, and then a rhyming couplet G, G. So we have 7 different rhymes in the English sonnet. The rhythmic pattern in which sonnets are written is something different than the rhyme itself. It actually gives us a sense of how the sonnet should be performed, what syllables or vowels should be stressed or not. And in the case of the Italian and the English sonnet, the iambic pentameter is the most famous one that sonnets have been written in. An iambic is basically 2 syllables where the first vowel is not stressed and the second vowel is stressed. So you have the following: titam, and this is repeated 5 times across a line. So we have titam, 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 titam. In this case, of course, this is a perfectly even iambic pentameter, but in some cases this could be uneven, and it could be used to highlight something that is happening or a topic that has not been discussed thus far. To give you an example, we have the following sonnet 116 from Shakespeare, which goes like that. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever fixed mark who looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose words unknown, although his height be taken. Love's not time's full, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. And then on and on and on. In the second quatrain, we have 2 uneven iambic pentameters, and we can look at them now. Oh no, It is an ever thick, said Mark, who looks on ten best end is never shaken. So we have one more syllable. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose words unknown, although his height be taken. Again, we have another syllable. The reason why we probably have those uneven pentameters there is that these lines talk about the turbulences of love, particularly shaken and taken. Nothing can shake love, and nothing can rewrite its course, so to speak. Enough about the iambic pentameter. I hope you get it. The other thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit is the actual meaning within the sonnets. This is, I think, largely influenced by the structure itself. So in the first quatrain, we normally have a problem that's being posed or a question. In the second quatrain, this is being elaborated on, or there's some thesis thrown upon, or antithesis in the second and the third quatrain. And then finally at the end, the rhyming couplet basically provides a conclusion, or in some cases there could be a turn of events. The last thing that I wanted to talk about is the Shakespearean sonnets themselves. They were probably written between 1592 and 1597. This is because we have facts around Shakespeare informally spreading these sonnets. They're of course something very personal, and they were not published until 1609, which is around 7 years before Shakespeare's death. He probably didn't even reside in London at that time. He was probably back in Stratford-upon-Avon. That is, of course, if we believe that Shakespeare existed, and of course there are conspiracy theories around it, but nevertheless they were published in 1609 by Thomas Thorpe, and they also had a dedication to Mr. with the initials WH. Now there's lots of theories who that was as well. Potentially one candidate is the Earl of Southampton, whose name was Henry Wriothesley. The content of the sonnet is, in some cases, could be grouped, and I guess even though we don't know in what order they were actually written, we know that there's certainly in the way that we can buy them now off in a bookstore, is certainly gives us an idea of two groups and two people to which the sonnets were addressed to. First one is from sonnet 1 to sonnet 126, where the poet talks to this young man and in a way competes with a rival poet for his affection. And then we also have sonnets 127 to 154, where the sonnets are quite dark and they're addressed towards this dark lady, whom again don't know much about her. There's theories that might be Queen Elizabeth I, but potentially maybe this was an amalgamation, a mixture of the prototypes of women that Shakespeare fed his inspiration from to write these sonnets. That's about it, about the form and about the Shakespearean sonnets themselves. Obviously they are of great value nationally and worldwide, and I think there's nothing left to do apart from start looking at my videos from tomorrow onwards, and let's allow ourselves to rediscover them.